this conference that's starting today. Yeah. This was drawing the biggest names in finance, heads of state. Everyone was descending, some still will, but many are not, on Riyadh for the second version of the Future Investment Forum. And it really just shed a spotlight on how important all the things that we've been talking about the Saudis are right now, and for Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince, and his role in it.
So we have that, and that's right. That is our third story of sort of those in the U.S. that are not going to the conference. And you heard a lot on the talk shows, as I mentioned, and Senator Schiff was one of them, talking very strong language about what should be done when it comes to Saudi Arabia.
I think this ought to be a relationship-altering event for the U.S. and Saudi Arabia, that we ought to suspend military sales, we ought to suspend certain security assistance, and we ought to impose sanctions on any of those that were directly involved in this murder.
Sorry, Representative Schiff, not Senator, but you know who is going? China and Russia.
Russia, right. Exactly right.
So, I mean, you can talk all you want. Sounds really good, but you know who's going to leave a lot of money on the table? The U.S. You know who's going to get a lot of money? China and Russia.
Absolutely. And, it will be interesting to see going forward. Larry Fink was interviewed last week and talked about how this is a long-term relationship, talking over the weekend to people, talking last week, the financiers, corporate executives, they're struggling with where it goes from here. This is a moment, clearly, but Saudi Arabia is not going away.
As the President of the United States is struggling with it, because it is unrealistic to think the United States is going to terminate relations with Saudi Arabia, whatever you think.
At the same time, when they have China in a trade battle, and then you want to eliminate a nuclear pact we have with Russia, that's not looking so good. So who are you going to do business with?
And when your priority has been Iran, and if you really go after Saudi Arabia, you're actually helping Iran, which is the last thing the United States wants to do.
Well, and there are all sorts of political ramifications that come if, for some reason, the crown prince is deposed by his father, if there's a new leadership, if there is something else more dramatic that happens, an Arab Spring type situation that happens in Saudi Arabia, the importance politically and economically of this country cannot be overstated.
And the instability in the region would be something if something like that were to ever happen.